Started off as a PG podcast, but then Devin just kept on dropping shits and fucks, and now
that's right. We are live.
The ghost faced himself, Brandon Tanev.
This isn't like the start of last season when it looked like the Canucks were just a beer league team not playing defense at all. And just before Chris goes, no, I'm kidding, Chris. You can actually go now.
no, hold on.
We had to give more time for coming on late. So.
I still had. Hold on. All right. Chris, go, and then I got something else to say at the end.
So, an elf and a midget in 2 back-to-back games. He's definitely on a friendship tour for sure.
Think, I'm okay with him being, the 6'7" defenseman. No! He is a AHL defenseman right now.
Look, Shonky, don't mind Devin, okay? We all struggle with Devin, so you know.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks, Twitch.com, Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network, as we are here, probably one of the last to recap the Calgary Flames 2-0 defeat to the Dallas Stars. As the series is now tied, they head to Dallas for the first 2 games in that series, starting tomorrow, Saturday, and Monday. So we're going to review this. We'll go through this. Devin is with us. Hello, Devin.
Hey, Kev.
How are you?
Pressing all the buttons. It's a panic on it.
Are you?
No. It was a disappointing game last night for sure, but there is concerns for sure, but definitely not pressing the panic button yet.
Yeah, this is by far the lowest scoring series in the entire series of the entire playoffs. Just 3 goals. There's been periods with 3 goals. And then even I think portions of half a period with 3 goals, and then we have this. So, from the Flames perspective, I think from Flames fans' perspective, I think any loss, and I think this is with any market, any loss comes with it a certain amount of worry. And, as we'll get into with the Leafs, there's even Leafs fans worrying after the loss at Tampa Bay. Oiler fans there was a lot of Oiler fans concerned after game 1. The world turned better after game 2. There are 6 series that are tied 1-1. There are 2 series that are 2-0. There are probably 1 series, maybe 2, that I think will go 4 or 5. I think that most of these series in general are going to go long. And I think maybe let's start here. I think maybe some Flame fans owe Dallas Star fans some apologies. I think that this team was underestimated. They have one of the better lines in the league in Rupe Hintz, Jason Robertson, and Joe Pavelski. They have been to the Stanley Cup Finals before under Rick Bowness coached team. Yeah, they didn't make the playoffs last year in the whole interdivisional thing. Yes, they fought to get into the playoffs this year, but Jake Ottinger has been mostly good, except that Arizona game. I think that's interesting. But maybe some Flame fans underestimated the Dallas Stars, and we sort of expected a path to success, like this was going to be easy, and it's not.
No, full credit to Dallas Stars and the way that they've played. Like, I don't think that's been the storyline that I've been hearing for the majority of it is how shitty the Flames have played. But on the opposite end of that coin, you got to give credit where credit's due, and the Dallas Stars have played very, very good defensive hockey. And especially last night wasn't really that fun to watch. If you're a Flames fan, God, the amount of passes from the defensive zone into the neutral zone, not hitting tape to tape, was I couldn't even count. I lost count at 15, and that was halfway through the second period. And I can't. If they're going to be successful, they need to be making those passes. It just seems very frantic and running around with their head cut off kind of feel. They just need to stick with the process, believe in the process. That's how Calgary's gotten here, is sticking to the process and trusting Daryl Sutter and his system. And the Dallas Stars the same way. Rick Bowness has done an amazing job shutting down everything in the center of the ice in Calgary's offensive zone, their defensive zone. Definitely need to try and penetrate the middle of the ice more and be a bit more patient. It just seems like the Calgary's just running around with their heads cut off. And I don't know. The only thing that I can preach is patience when you have the puck, and don't stop throwing it away. Make sure you're making the nice crisp pass. Because once again, if you're not making tape to tape passes, it's going to be hard to do anything defensive, neutral zone or offensive zone, period.
They also couldn't. I think one of the other things that I agree with you on everything that you said there, but they also couldn't hold the puck on the opponent blue line at all. Like they, it was finding a way out, even the empty net goal, Noah Hannafin couldn't keep the puck in. Rasmus Andersson had a tough time with it most of the game, keeping the puck in on the power play. They just didn't feel, the defense specifically didn't feel in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Like they didn't feel like there wasn't a lot of connection. And I didn't, like, a lot of people were thinking it was because the Dallas Stars were more physical, and I think they were in the first period. But I didn't think that they were overly physical in the remaining two periods of this game. I didn't think I'm not overwhelmed by the offense of the Dallas Stars. That number one line still is that number one line. But I'm not overwhelmed by them. I wasn't overwhelmed by Tyler Seguin. I wasn't overwhelmed by Jamie Benn.
No.
It just didn't feel like to me that the Flames were in sync overall.
No, it was like I said, just very finicky and not trusting each other and forcing stuff that isn't there. That's the other thing, is you gotta make the simple play. There was one time that I actually saw a good breakout, good neutral zone, through the neutral zone and into the offensive zone, and they were making 5-foot passes instead of this long stretch passes. If you are able to support each other more often and be close for an outlet pass or for a bank off the boards to go chip and chase, whatever the case may be, the more success you're going to have. And these big cross ice passes or two zone passes, it just doesn't seem like it's working. So they need to go back to the basics and make sure that they are able to do those. And I'm with you. I don't think that Dallas was overly physical throughout the entire game. Yes, sure, in the first period they looked like they had a lot more tenacity, but the overwhelming feel is once the Flames start breaking out, they have the neutral zone trap ready, and then they're making it very hard on the Flames to get any momentum whatsoever. And when they do have that offensive zone, have the puck in the offensive zone, then it just seems like the puck's just not bouncing the way that in the way of the Flames. And also the defense, whenever they have the puck just on the blue line in the offensive zone, it just doesn't seem like they're they're forcing stuff. They're not taking their time. And there's 2 incidents, one with Johnny and one with Toffoli, where both of them were kind of just shook their head. And it was Oliver Shillington for one of them. I don't know who the second one was, but Toffoli had said I would be assuming saying to Toffoli or to Shillington, just calm it down. Just make the simple play. We don't need to force anything here. We have the offensive zone, and let's work the puck around a little bit more.
Yeah, and I was Sean was in the message in our message there, and I think he was talking a bit about how the Flames needed to change their offensive game plan a little bit. And I was like, it's in my head, it's 1-0 in the second period. I don't think you need to change anything. To me, it wasn't like everything was fine, but it wasn't 2-0. It was 1-0. I thought they were starting to get chances. It's just they weren't going in, and they still weren't in sync. I didn't think you needed to overly panic.
Yeah, and once again, stick to what you know. Stick to what's gotten you here. And Daryl's a smart man. Obviously, he's done a great job with his team so far. And yes, there's a lot of adversity right now, and there's a lot of pessimism towards the Flames and their chances of moving on. But you rattle it off at the beginning of the show, Kev. There's only 2 series that are up 2-0. Everybody else is 1-1.
Yep.
And yes, there's some butt puckering is happening in some markets, but the reality is down to 5 games. It's a 5-game best win 3 and you're in. You're on to the next round. And The Flames are actually better on the road than they are at home.
Yeah, and I mean, yes, Dallas is going to be rocking. There's no question about it. And I imagine that the first 10 minutes is going to be about weathering the storm tomorrow. But if they weather that storm, I think things can be okay. I really do. But let's, we spent a good chunk of time here on the defense, and I mean, and there was a lot of forcing of offense. There was one play I specifically remember with Oliver Shillington too, and we're probably thinking of the same one. He was trying to move the puck to the middle of the ice, and he was waiting for someone to go in front of the net before he would shoot it, but no one could get there. And I mean, the Flames forwards in general need to do a better job of getting in front of the net. On the Stars, they didn't do that good of a job at it. I will totally agree on that. But it just felt like, for the most part, they were forcing. It felt like they were forcing everything. Even the Pavelski goal, it felt like the forward wasn't there. Anderson was behind him. Hannafin got confused. He gave the puck away to Robertson, and Pavelski tips it in. Mm-hmm. Right? Hannafin was the empty net goal. Hannafin, and I'm not blaming specifically Hannafin, but Hannafin. Well, it feels like I'm blaming Hannafin, but I think there's a few others here too. Hannafin's trying to force it to keep it in the blue line. It just bounces off his stick, and Raffles on his way, and it's 2-0.
Yeah. Hannafin had a rough game.
Yep,
he really did. Even on the Pavelski tip goal, looking at it, he was looking like he was going to go around the net, where we had at least, I believe, 3 other Flames potentially for a good outlet pass. And he decides to go up the same side, little button hook, and shoot the puck off the boards. And I believe it was Robertson who shot it.
It was Jason Robertson that shot it, and then Pavelski, one of the best tippers in the history of this game.
Yep.
Joe Pavelski. And I mean hockey scoring tippers. I don't know about his restaurant tipping. I have no idea, but
I've heard he's a nice guy, so I would assume that he'd be good at that. But yeah, him in front of the net is absolutely ridiculous. His reactions and his veteran presence within that area, quote unquote, his office right in the slot. It's unbelievable. And that was a world-class tip right there. But going back to Hannafin, he wasn't thinking. And, I know it's super loud on the ice. And obviously Johnny didn't hear that offside call, and he rips a top shelf on Ottinger. Totally not on purpose. I don't think it was. He just didn't hear the whistle because it was so loud in there. But communication is huge. It's huge. Yep. And if you're not communicating and you're just saying, well, it might be too loud in there, I'm not even going to try. Well, that's bullshit. And I'm just going off of what my gut is telling me. Obviously, I wasn't there. I wasn't on the ice. I wasn't at the game. I didn't hear how loud it was. But they really need to make sure that they are all on the same page, understanding, make the simple play. Honestly, the amount of times that I saw last night of them trying to do something that out of the ordinary and make it pretty is not the type of hockey that has made them successful this year, especially that defense. That defense is meat and potatoes defense.
Yep.
Make a good, strong first pass. And Tanev, I thought, had a good game in consideration, especially for the type of game that his partner, Oliver Shillington, had. Whenever Tanev had the puck and he was carrying it up the ice, he was fantastic, as always. But you gotta think that Hannafin will have a bounce back game. Anderson will have a bounce back game because he wasn't really that noticeable at all. And Shillington just needs to just pump the brakes, take a few more seconds, and go from there. And I thought that Branson and Zadorov did a formidable job. Not amazing, but good enough.
Yeah, Tanev was by far the Flames' best defenseman last night, I thought. And I don't think Branson and Zadorov have been awful in this series at all. I think they've been fine. They've been exactly what they've needed to be. Rasmus missed the first, second half, the final two periods. I think everyone knows they need more from Anderson and Hannafin for sure. Mm-hmm. The big consternation, though, one goal, nothing 5-on-5. They haven't scored since the first 5 minutes of the first period. And it comes down to this line, the line of Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk, who we've said during the regular season was one of the best lines in the NHL. Let's start with Lindholm. I don't think Lindholm has been bad. I think Lindholm's been Lindholm. I think he's been fine. I don't have any issues with the way that Lindholm has been playing. He's had his opportunities. Puck isn't quite going in. Is that a fair way to say what?
I thought Lindholm was good last night. I mean, not amazing, but good enough. And his opportunities are still there. He was the best forward in my mind, or one of them. He was the top two forward on this team last night for me. And Backlund was number one for me. I thought Backlund had a very strong game in consideration of what he did in the first game. And but going back to Lindholm, I don't think you can ask for much more from him. The other thing that hasn't been really talked about is the puck luck. The puck luck has not been there for either team. The puck is not it's not bouncing, right? And I think it was the Rangers Pittsburgh game last night. Two of the goals for New York went off of Pittsburgh players, right? And that's bound to happen. There's so many mistakes in over 300 mistakes in a hockey game, and that's one thing that will regress to the mean, right? So I don't think that and the way that Lindholm is shooting the puck right now, that's exactly what I want to see.
Yeah, I want to spend some time talking about Jake Ottinger in a second here. There are going to be people that will disagree with you about Michael Backlund. I saw a few tweets that thought that Backlund was brutal. What are you seeing that everyone's not?
I vividly remember there was at least 3 or 4 rushes that he had, a 2-on-1 odd man rushes, 2-on-1, 3-on-2, or there's even a 3-on-1 where I believe that was Tanev shooting far pad and hoping that somebody's gonna pick up that rebound. And that's a smart play. That's a really smart play for going in with numbers and being on the outside with two other guys kind of driving to the net in the middle. He had a bunch of defensive plays I thought he was really good on. I don't know. To me, when Backlund is on his game, you notice him offensively, well, mostly defensively. But if he's chipping in by offensive chances, what's the big deal? So I'm curious on what people are saying about him, because I thought he was decent last night, and that's to say something about the way that the forwards were playing. Decent was one of the best players.
I think a lot of people felt he disappeared. Let's look at his basic numbers. He had 4 shots on goal, to be fair. 2 giveaways, 2 takeaways. 42% in the faceoff circle. That's an issue with the Flames, though, entirely. They are being dominated in the faceoff circle, and they were dominated in both games so far. Specifically on the power play, they're not winning enough draws, especially at the beginning. Opening faceoff, the Stars are able to win the draw and clear it down the ice. So that's not just Backlund. Trevor Lewis, just for record here, 25%. Elias Lindholm was 44%, and Yarncrow was the best at 53%. But I think everybody needs to be better on the faceoff circle. Absolutely.
I believe they were just Dallas was just under 60% in the faceoffs, and that's not good for possession time. The faceoffs are, in my mind, underrated. And if you are having that possession taken away from you in a 50-50 draw, then you're starting on that entire shift and that entire play behind, and you're trying to catch up. You're trying to get those takeaways. You're trying to just get possession back, right? So 100%. And I don't know why they didn't say that in the first game. The first game, I wanted Backlund to be better. I thought he was way less noticeable in that first game than the second. So I got to disagree with whoever's saying that.
I think he's been okay. I think just with Mangiapane and Toffoli, they got to hit the net.
Mm-hmm.
They got to hit the net.
Those guys are struggling too.
Yeah, they like Toffoli's had chances. He's not hitting the net. Mangiapane's had chances. He's not hitting the net. And we'll give the Stars credit here. 20 block shots. By the way, Luke Glendening had 4 block shots. But you got to hit the net. It's just like,
yeah. And once again, if you're picking corners, okay, you're picking corners. That's fine. But if you're going for a rebound or if you're just getting pucks on net, you got to have people in front of the net.
Yeah,
that's something that has been missing for the Flames for the past, I want to say 4 to 5 periods. Out of 6, is that they've not been able to penetrate the middle of the ice in the offensive zone. And that's a big, big problem. Jake Ottinger has been able to see the majority of the pucks.
Okay. I want to give Jake Ottinger credit because I do think he's a good goalie. But this is going to sound like I'm wearing my Flames shirt here. I also think that's true. I also think if you get one on him, he will let in another one rather quickly. Not sure. I'm not a goalie expert, but I don't think his rebound control is particularly awesome.
To that point, though, that's the way that he wants it. That's the way that he loves it. And then that's one of the other things that they might need to change their the Flames need to change their ideology on is, you want to go far pad, but the technology that's in his pads are very springy, and that's what he likes to do. He loves to kick out, and you're right, his rebound control in a traditional sense is not there, but what he's trying to do is kick it past that second wave of Flames forwards.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Like, I'm not like I just something tells me though that I don't like. He's been impressive, but I still think he can be had.
For sure. He's a young rookie goaltender. That's the other thing, is that if you're in the middle of the ice, you're in his face. You're Matthew Tkachuk bumping into him accidentally and trying to cause havoc and get him frustrated and off his game. But if you're not doing that, he's a rookie goaltender. Get in his face. Do it. Because it'll pay off. Or the defenseman on Dallas could potentially take a penalty, pushing you on top of him, or like a Flames player on top of Ottinger. I agree with you. He's not been tested. Start testing this goalie and try and figure out exactly what needs to happen, because the majority of shots, there's a lot of shots in. I think there was over 30 shots in the first game, just going off memory, but the majority of them are perimeter.
Yeah, it's very well. 24 5-on-5 shots, 3 power play shots, 2 shorthanded shots yesterday for 29. And I'll see if we can pull the numbers out for game one just in comparison. But yeah, I didn't feel there was anything like. I think maybe there was one save that I remember. Wow, that's a good save by Ottinger. That's a really good save. I didn't really feel like there was anything that Ottinger should not have made the save on.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you could argue, I guess, in the other sense of this, that if he lets in one, it may have been soft and may have turned the game around.
Yep. And if you're doing laws of the law of averages, if you keep on throwing the puck at the net and having traffic in front, a bounce is going to go your way. A puck's going to go off of an ass, a skate, a leg, or even be tipped in. If you're going to be throwing pucks at the net, you got to have traffic. You have to.
Yep. And there certainly wasn't enough. And to get to Johnny here for a second, I tweeted that I really loved Johnny's game. I thought he was my favorite forward, because I did think he was he was engaged. There was a couple of plays I've seen him back. He was back checked. I thought he played a really strong 200-foot game. There was a couple of rushes. One rush in the third, he blew a tire. I'm quoting Rick Ball exactly. He blew a tire. The results aren't there, which is where the criticism comes. But I don't feel that he has been. It's going to come, and I think this is going to be the challenge here for Flames fans going forward here with this series. This is going to be. I don't think this is going to change. I think we're in for a very low score. In general, should be in for a low scoring series, probably. So Johnny's points are not going to be high. We're not going to be seeing a 100-point pace in this series for Johnny Gaudreau. And I think that there are probably some people that will criticize that. But I also think, we keep talking about the 200-foot game, and I think that Johnny played a really strong 200-foot game. He didn't score. That's the problem.
Yep. I start off with Johnny's game. I thought that he was decent. He was creating chances or trying to, which is what he does. He's the best passer in the NHL, right, Kev?
Yes, Jim Matheson.
And you just got to keep on going through the process. Johnny, keep doing what you're doing. You obviously got 115 points for a reason in the regular season for what you were doing. And yes, it's a different game, but I truly believe that Dallas, I don't think that they will be able to keep up this defensive prowess that they have. So if Johnny keeps on doing what he's doing, and Matthew Tkachuk and Elias Lindholm keep on doing what's made them successful throughout the entire year, then they will have success. They will get the goals, and then we'll have we won't be talking about this, right? And like, is Johnny's 200-foot game is so underrated that even if he's not scoring, I'm still okay. It's the exact same as Lindholm. Remember when Labardius was on here and I wanted Lindholm to shoot more? Lindholm has a lot on his plate, and shooting and scoring is one of the last things on his mind, essentially, to make his team successful, because he is so important in that face-off dot, in the defensive zone, making room for players out there like Johnny to shine like he always does. And that's same with Johnny, is that or similar. Obviously, we're talking about in my mind, the Selke winner in Elias Lindholm, and I'm not saying that Johnny Gaudreau should be in that conversation, because he shouldn't be, but his defensive game is underrated, and they just need to keep on going, just persevere, and through this questionable period of asking, I would be assuming, asking yourself, are we doing the right things here? Are we able to push back and have a good chance in this series? I'm for this next game, Kev, I'm very, very curious on how Rick Bowness I would say deploys troops. How does he line match? What's his strategy there? Or is he just going to keep on rolling the lines like he has been? And same with Daryl Sutter. I think there's got to be some sort of gamemanship between either one of those coaches to potentially try and shift things up just a bit.
Yeah, there's going to have to. Well, I think there's going to be adjustments on both ends. For sure. Before we go to adjustments, can we talk about Matthew for a second?
Yeah, for sure.
Because I thought, and to your point, Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk were on the ice for the last shift of the game and pinned the Stars to the wall. And Matthew did it. That was great. That's exactly what you want. That was an outstanding shift. That's not an offensive shift. That's not glory, anything like that. This game 2, to go specifically to the play, offside, Johnny scores, whatever. Matthew fights John Klingberg, and quite frankly, that was all I saw of Matthew. I thought he got my W for the last game. I just didn't think it was the same. I didn't see the engagement from him. It almost felt like, to me, he took himself out of the game fighting Klingberg. And I got to be honest with you, I didn't think it was necessary. I didn't think that at that time was completely necessary, the pushing and shoving. It felt like Matthew Tkachuk took a little bit of a step back. And I'm sure we're going to see, look, the other criticism has been 4 points in 17 playoff games for Matthew Tkachuk. He does overall have to be better. I think he will be better here. I really do. Like, I'm not concerned. I'm not overly concerned, but he didn't have that great of a game. I would argue, I'd suggest he was almost, if he wasn't the worst forward, he was the second worst to me. I would go that far.
Yeah, when you're trying to show that you are a team player, and that making those comments that Klingberg did in between or after game 1 about Rasmus Andersson, you want to step up for your teammate. You want to make sure that your teammate feels like you have their back, but it's about choosing the right time to do that. The reason why Tkachuk was offside was because he was talking with Klingberg and he was pushing and shoving with Klingberg. And that, I mean, we saw what Johnny did with it. And yes, Ottinger wasn't trying, and neither was the defense, essentially. But the matter of fact is, we don't know exactly what would have happened if everybody was on par with that. And Matthew Tkachuk was onside. And then after that, after the scrum ensued, because Johnny put the puck in the net after whistle went, then you had Tkachuk fighting Klingberg. And I agree with you, Kev. I don't think that was a very smart move on his part whatsoever. And it especially at the beginning of the game when you have all the juices flowing, you have the crowd at the Saddle Dome just bumping. You want to make sure you're using that effectively. And then if you're really breaking it down, once things go quiet, that's when, or once you notice that the crowd is going quiet, that's when you step up and then you start making you start going after Klingberg, right? That's when you do it. Not at the beginning of the game when everything else is like is just you're on fire, for a lack of a better word, for the Flames. So I agree with you. He needs to pick his spots better, and maybe that did take him out of the game right away because he was just maybe a bit deflated because of how that fight went, right? Who knows? But he does need to pick his spots.
Yeah, and we've talked about that with him all year. He's picked his spots generally pretty well.
Yep.
It wasn't the best decision, but I don't think it was. I feel like we're bringing a lot of calm to the world of Calgary right now. I think everyone else is worried, and we're just like it's concerning. But I think there's things that can be okay.
Yeah, I mean the way that Markstrom played, he made a bunch of big saves. Okay, outside of the forwards and defense, I think Markstrom gets my W. You have Tanev on the back end for best defenseman, and then for me it was Lindholm for most consistent forward. And my prediction for this next game is Calgary's going to win, and they're going to win 3-1 or 4-2, and that with an empty net goal. I truly believe that they'll come out and that they will show their dominance in that building, because that's what they've done the entire year, is play well on the road. Get out of the city, get out of this expectations of Calgary, and just go play your game. Go have fun. Go kick some ass down in Dallas. And I believe that after Game 3, Calgary will be up 2-1.
Yeah, I'm not going to make a prediction, but I don't necessarily disagree with you. But I had this as a 6-game series, so I think yeah.
Do you think they get a split? Do you think that they get one win in Dallas?
I do. I do think they'll get one win in Dallas. At least
I do too. I do too.
I think that that game, tomorrow's game, might be a 3. Yeah, I see a 3-2, 4-2 kind of game. I think it's going to be a bit more higher scoring.
Mm-hmm.
But I can see Calgary winning the game. I mean, they have a 50-50 shot they're playing in the game, right?
But that's why we need to just like everybody calm down. Yes, there are old wounds that are still there, and scar tissue that has not and will not heal. But God, this is only 2 games. Only 2 games.
Exactly.
So let's support them. Let's stop doing the fucking wave at the Saddle Dome, and let's be loud and proud.
And also end the good old hockey game. Don't play that song or do the wave. Both of them need to stop. I agree with you.
Yeah. Oh man, the fact that there was a fucking wave going on down by 1 in the third. Stop.
Yeah.
It now.
Yeah. No, and I think it's going to be. I wonder for all 3 of the Canadian teams, the Flames, the Oilers, and the Leafs, it almost might be a benefit for them to be on the road, because there's just our markets are just it's intense. Every single moment everything is just in a microscope. And then when you're on the road, you can just play hockey, right? You can just focus on your game. I almost wonder if it's an advantage for everybody to just, that's the one thing. Yeah. Like I think it's so. And I just, and because we keep praising him and we always have, I think the fact that how Daryl's and the team, even the team's response, I don't feel panic from this team. We expected Michael Backlund. We expected a long series. Andrew Mangiapane, we expected a long series. Tyler Toffoli, we expect to win both games in Dallas. Like, even Daryl wasn't raging last night, but he doesn't really rage in losses anyway. But
no.
It still felt like a calm professional team that, even though maybe the fan base was lower on the Dallas Stars, this team wasn't. They knew that they were in for a battle, and I think that they're more prepared just in terms of the whole team. There's a bunch of veterans in that room that it's 1-1, and even if they were down 2-1, I'd be more concerned, but I wouldn't be overly concerned.
You know what? If they lose Game 3, how are they going to lose?
Yeah.
Right. It's all about. It's not just about the stats and the numbers. It's the eye test of how they're if that's going to happen, or how do they win. It could go both ways. Do they win convincingly, or is it there's still a few bounces that puck luck that went towards Calgary's favor, then it went against Dallas's favor? To me, you got to have the effort, you got to have the drive and the consistency, and be as calm as you can. No panic within giving the puck away. Noah Hannafin, and make sure you make the right play, Oliver Shillington, and not trying to force something that isn't there. And that, to your point, Daryl's been there before. We've called him the captain of this team. He's the dad of this team. Everybody looks up to him to see, okay, well, what does Daryl want? How does he want to do this? Daryl's been on. He was on 2 Stanley Cup, not winning teams, but in 2004, 8 seed coming in.
6 seed.
6 seed, sorry. 8 seed coming in with the LA Kings, winning that cup. So he understands being on the other side of the coin. So being Rick Bowness and the Dallas Stars and how to play. So if you really break it down, how much faith do we have in Daryl Sutter? A shit ton, as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, I agree.
And he will deliver the right message to each and every one of those players.
Yep. That's where the confidence is for me, is Daryl, and just kind of just remaining calm, and the veteran presence on the team. And he'll push the right buttons. It'll be, I think it'll be fine. Now, in terms of changes, I have a couple of ideas I want to toss past you.
All right.
Power play. Just for one, maybe 2, would you throw Milan Lucic as a net front presence on the power play?
Would that be second or first line?
Second.
So you take out probably Yarncroke.
Yeah.
Well, he's been our best center as far as percentages. I don't know how he was on game 1, but he's I guess take out Calle Yarncroke and put in Lucic, and then you have Dubé, Mangiapane as your flanks, and then Michael Backlund as your bottom player who can play in that the high slot and transition down. I agree with that. I like that.
Okay. Now, would you put in Adam Ruzicka for a Brett Ritchie?
I would, but I know Daryl most likely won't. And it looks like, yeah. I don't think that that Daryl will take Brett Ritchie out.
The reason I'm bringing up the Ruzicka idea is there is a bit of skill there. I haven't hated the fourth line. I'm not upset about Lewis, Lucic, and Richie, but he does bring a little bit of skill. And he is a natural centerman, and I think that helps in the faceoff circle. Lewis is not a natural centerman, and they've worked. Ruzicka, Lucic, and Lewis have done well before.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he brings in a little bit more energy. He doesn't have the experience, but I think he's more of a natural center, and I would consider it at least.
I would too. Just looking at, that would make a lot of sense because Trevor Lewis is a right-handed shot. So if you're on the, let's say, left side of the ice, then having a left-handed shot to win that back would be ideal, and then right hand for the right hand or the right side of the ice. Having that diversity, and say for instance, if one of the first guys gets kicked out, then you have another potential centerman to come in there. I don't mind that at all. And we've been talking about before game one, what the difference is between the two teams, and we were preaching Calgary's depth. I think you definitely get a little bit more skill with Ruzicka in the lineup than you do Brett Ritchie.
Yeah. Not the same experience, but I think I think it adds something there, because I do think that the depth I would still give the edge to the Flames on for sure.
Oh, absolutely. That hasn't changed.
Yeah, and those are the only two things I would change. And I think just putting Lucic in front of the net, I think just gets Dallas something to think about. And you don't even need to do it even every power play. You can go back to Yarncroke, and then you can go back to Lucic on another power play, depending on how the game goes. You can put something in that Dallas's brain to confuse them.
Yeah. Yep, for sure. I would even toy with the idea of bringing a Michael Stone in.
Well, who would you sit?
Shillington. The only downside that would have, I think, would be the confidence of Shillington might be shot otherwise. But I think if you really wanted to shake things up just a bit, put Zadorov on that second line, left side, and then you have Gudbranson and Stone, or you put Stone with Chris Tanev. I
don't hate it. And there's going to be people that are like, you don't like Oliver Shillington? Michael Stone is like a lot like, it kind of reminds me of a Mike Commodore. He's a plug and play guy that you can put in situations like this that it can work. And then in game 4, or if you need Shillington again, you're creating some competition.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a legitimate argument that Oliver Shillington in the second half of the year has gotten comfortable. He got off to a great start. I'm not going to dispute that, but he got a little comfortable, and Tanev has been awesome for him.
Yep.
But maybe I wouldn't be opposed to it.
And especially having Zadorov with Tanev. I know they've tried it in the past, and it hasn't been amazing, but it's not been bad, right? And yeah, I know Sean would probably hate it because he loves having a puck-moving defenseman who can skate, and Oliver Shillington can skate. I just think that more so just giving Shillington, okay, take a deep breath. I'm not taking you out because you were bad, even though potentially was. And this is what I would be saying if I'm Daryl Sutter, that we want you to just take a look from up in the press box. Just take a look from up there, see what you're seeing, see how you can exploit the forwards of Dallas from a different angle, from a different view. And I think that might be a formidable play. Do I think it happens? No, but I think that if you are Daryl, you are looking at that for sure.
If I was to put a percentage on the changes, if it was Richie for Ruzicka and Shillington for Stone, I would actually say that there was a better chance of Stone for Shillington than Richie for Ruzicka.
And it's funny because I'd be the opposite. Even though you brought it up, I would think that Richie for Ruzicka would be more would definitely have more of a chance of happening.
I just think, well, first of all, to touch on Zadorov here just for a moment, is he the best puck handling defenseman in the world? No, but he can do it. He has skills. Like we've seen it this year. Like we really have. He doesn't do it all the time, but he can do it. And that might be it. That I don't hate the idea because Stone has a shot, and his shot can create rebounds.
He's got to hit the net. That's the only thing.
Sure,
it's pretty Dion-esque of here's a clapper. All right, off the glass.
Okay, and I don't want to be a cold, brutal ass here, but if one is a little high and a little close,
it's a game within the game, Kev. I agree with you. For sure. Say for instance, if you're coming in and you're being if you're coming in off the wing, anybody, and you don't have a shot, aim for the head. Well,
even the argument with Lucic in front of the net, I like that idea because it just if he accidentally on purpose bumps into Ottinger, let's get him off of his game.
Absolutely, and I'd rather have a scrum with either Lucic or I guess Lewis or anybody else than Dallas. That's for sure. Dallas is not a gritty team. Like they're a gritty team, but they're not like a big fighting team, right? And so if there is going to be a scrum, I'd rather take Calgary over Dallas any day.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you make Jake Ottinger be Mike Smith, and he has to put in a tremendous performance. Kaliev on as not hit that Mike Smith took in the second period of that Oilers Kings game, but you have to get Ottinger out of his game. Just get him out of his gill. He's been far too comfortable.
Yep, it's true. And one more lineup change I would maybe suggest is putting Coleman on that second line and dropping Toffoli to the Yarncroke-Dubé line, because I think Dubé's been a bit of a driver for that line, and Yarncroke has been pretty decent. And then Coleman's played very well as far as his skill goes, and he's a good defensive player. So if you're looking for any sort of shakeup, I think you definitely would take a look at all those options that we just spewed. But again, do I think that Sutter's going to change anything? I don't. I think he'll stand pat and keep going in the same direction he's going right now.
I was thinking even put Toffoli with Lindholm and Goodrow for a bit, and put Tkachuk with Backlund and Mangiapane. I was thinking the other way, but I like your idea too, because that line could do some things. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I do suspect there will be changes. I will say that, but what they are, we'll have to see. But I think there's some. Not. No. Not that I don't trust Darth, but I don't think this is the time.
Never. No. You go with the horse that got you there, and that's Markstrom.
Yeah. Anything else on this game?
No. Just I'm anxiously waiting for tomorrow night, and fuck, they got to come out and play. Got to come out hard, especially being on the road. Be ready for them to come out hard because that building will be rocking. Just try and counterattack as much as you can because you know that Dallas will be revved up and ready to go.
Do you start the fourth line? Yeah,
why not? They're decently defensively, and if you do start the fourth line, then I wonder if Bonus goes that Hintz, Pavelski, Robertson line.
It's a mismatch on paper, but it's I
don't think it's a bad move, but it does come down to who does Rick Bonus if Sutter does want to start the fourth line, then Rick Bonus can start whoever he wants, and that'd be interesting for sure.
Yeah, see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's move on to the other series. We've got we're about an hour and a half or a couple hours away, actually. Sorry, from the Leafs and the Lightning. The Andre Cash should be in the lineup. Tavares and Nylander are back together. Tavares, speaking of a guy getting some heat, Mr. Tavares has gotten a lot of heat in Toronto for his performance. Matthews and Marner have stepped up, and Tavares hasn't. But again, though, I think Leaf fans listen, and even non-Leaf fans, this is going to be a long series. I still don't know where I'm at with Tampa. I thought they were a lot better, but are they sharp? Not quite. But it's going to be a fun series, and Campbell's been, I'm going to use air quotes, he's been fine. I think there needs to be another level for him for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be it's going to be an interesting game.
Yeah, going back down to Tampa and they get last change. Tavares needs to be better. I think Bunting has another level to get to. He was not the Bunting of his rookie campaign regular season. So he is coming off an injury. So give him the benefit of the doubt, I guess, for the first game. But this next game, he needs to be running some people and causing a bit of a havoc. Interesting to see what Kasha brings with that Tavares Nylander line. And Campbell does need to have that next level as well, because you're going up against the world-class top 2 goaltender in the NHL and world in Andre Vasilevsky. You need to keep up with him as much as you can. You really do. I don't know exactly how this one's going to go, but it's going to be tight. I don't think it's going to be as wide open as everybody else thinks. I think they're going to, since he had first game going to Toronto, second game going to Tampa, I think it's going to be right down the middle, and it's probably going to go to OT.
Wouldn't be surprised. By the way, the other one is Jason Spezza's in the lineup and no Wayne Simmons.
Yeah, I like that as well. Simmons, he's good for what he does, but Jason Spezza, he's a dark horse as a fourth liner. Yes, he's old, but he's still so damn skilled, and he has a hell of a shot. So I get a little bit more skill on that bottom six, on that bottom line, and he'll be on that second power play unit too.
Yep. The Oilers, fresh off a 6-0 win. Can we congratulate I love the game within the game. And did you see what the LA Kings did for the Oilers?
No.
So they're coming up for their morning skate. Damn it, that the lights don't work. They can't be turned on. And then the nets are not available either.
Oh my God. That is amazing.
Yeah.
that is so good. Was that on Twitter?
Yeah, Ryan Rishaug tweeted it out. You should see the replies to that. It's amazing. But I do think if the Kings are going to win this series, they got to win this one. And I don't think it's going to be a 6-0 game. I think we talked about, I think, and this is for the Leafs too. I think it's the advantage of playing on the road here. There's going to be some comfort. We had the Jonathan Quick that I thought just maybe played a little bit over his head in game 1 and played a little bit under his head in game 2. But the Kings power play has to get something going here. To me, the turning point of that Oilers-Kings game was when McDavid and Nurse were in the box. They couldn't score in that power play, and it's like two of the Oilers' best players, and you're not taking advantage of it. You're giving the Oilers life. So you gotta find a way to score when those opportunities happen. Like Connor, it's not like Connor McDavid is going to take a lot of penalties, but Darnell Nurse will take a few penalties.
Mm-hmm.
So, they got to take advantage of that. You're going to see Danault on McDavid all night. That will be that matchup. But I think if the Kings are going to win this series, they got to win tonight.
Yeah, it does feel that way. That they do. Being down 2-1, and you're at home for the fourth game. Yeah, it pressure's on. Like, you don't want to have that pressure. You want to get at least one of these and basically go back and forth with the Oilers. And I think it really starts with their number one center, Anze Kopitar. Last game he had 6 shots, and he just needs to score. He needs to lead by example and start putting the puck in the back of the net, because he's one of the best two-way centers in the game, or was, and now he just needs to start producing, because you know what he can do for his team in the defensive zone. But offensive zone, yeah, you got 6 shots, but you need to be better.
Yeah, they need to find other ways of getting goals. And that Adrian Kempe had a quiet 35 goals this year. He needs to score. Kopitar, Athanasiou, he needs to take that bittersweetness of his experience with the Oilers and score as well. Yep. And they'll need more from Dustin Brown. Dustin Brown has been a little too quiet for me in this series. But
yeah, I think it's kind of showing why he's retiring after this year. It's just that I don't think he has it anymore. But if he's willing to make an impact, doors open for him to step up and start doing that. But last game he only got 12 minutes. So yeah. I don't think McClellan really trusts him right now, and rightfully so. But an unsung hero that needs to show up, and he did in the first game, is Trevor Moore. Second game he was pretty quiet. Other than he did have 8 hits and 3 blocks, but offensively he's quietly a really good player. I watched him play in Toronto, and he's thrived in that top 6 with the Kings. So that's one other player I'm looking at and looking more from the second game.
Yeah. Then of course the other 2 games, the Wild and the Blues, both have been blowouts. I don't think that's going to be I don't think we're going to get more blowouts. I'm expecting a split in these in these 2 games. The Wild came out and they didn't get off to a great start. They only got their first shot at the 9:30 mark, and then they were able to, the floodgates open. So they're going to have to get off to a little bit of a better start. But yeah, I expect a split of these 2 games.
I do too. I think off the bat here, this first half of the first period, St. Louis is going to come out and dominate them. I just think that there's too much experience in that locker room and in that lineup on the Blues that you can't expect them to be quiet to start this game. And for Minnesota, just keep on doing what you're doing at the end of the game. Yeah, you had a slow start. Maybe relying on Marc-Andre Fleury a little bit more than you really want to. But good on Joel Eriksson-Ek for almost getting a Hattie. And for those of you who don't know, there's a goal called back on his third goal, and all the hats hit the ice, and then it was Kaprizov who got the Hattie after that. So it was kind of a funny situation, but yeah.
Yeah, they throw all the hats out for Eriksson-Ek. It was a challenge, or it was an offside call. It was ruled offside. And then Kaprizov gets the Hattie, and there's no hats for him.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so I guess, poor guy.
Preemptive.
Preemptive, yeah. But I guess, someone lost and found in Minnesota has a lot of hats available if you're looking for a hat in Minnesota. That's the entire point.
Yeah. But I think that they split the two games in where are they? Minnesota?
They're in St. Louis.
St. Louis, sorry. Yeah. In St. Louis. So it'll be interesting to see how both teams come out tonight.
The Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. I've never seen this Bruins team look as terrible, as undisciplined and unraveling as they have in this series. Like penalty after penalty after penalty. Marchand with the stupid stick swing was so unnecessary.
Yep.
Yes, it's Marchand. But they are getting overwhelmed. They're not getting the goaltending. This looks like if Carolina wins tonight, I think that this is a sweep.
Yeah, well, Jeremy Swayman's going to come in instead of Allmark, and hopefully that'll spark Boston to smarten up a little bit. And once again, they have so many veteran players. The Bergeron, Marchand, even McAvoy. He's had a lot of. I think this would be his third or fourth postseason, and along with Carlo as well. I don't know. I just think that they have a lot of experience, and they need to have that pushback. They need to make sure that they come out hard. And but am I surprised that they are down 2 games to none? No, honestly, this was the series that I hope that or I wish that the Toronto was going to be playing Boston, because I know that the Bruins aren't the same as they have been in the past. I don't know, let's say decade, and especially against the Maple Leafs. So I'm with you. It's either going to be 4 or 5 games for the Hurricanes. I don't think there's any dispute, unless the Bruins decide to actually show up and come to play.
Yeah, where's Taylor Hall? Has anyone seen him?
Well, I scored the first goal in the first game, but other than that, Taylor Hall is not the Hart Taylor Hall of 2 years ago or 3 years ago. Yeah, for sure. And then just quickly to run through the other series here. Congratulations to Connor Ingram. That was a hell of a performance against Colorado. Good on him. But Cale Makar just was just that much better, and that was Cale Makar versus Connor Ingram, and Makar got the edge. And that says a lot for Ingram, honestly. Like you said, there was just a slight edge, and that's going to be Cale Makar is going to be winning a lot of Norris trophies for his next however long he's going to be in the NHL, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, for sure. But that's probably a short series unless if Saros comes back, maybe. But that Nashville gave him everything that they had, and
high ankle sprains are very, very hard to come back, especially for goaltenders. I do not expect him to be anywhere close to being ready unless they inject him with absolutely everything, as far as drugs and numbing and all that shit. But even then, it won't be the same Saros.
Yeah. I would suspect that you just run with Connor Ingram and just hope for the best and get Saros back for next year. I mean, it's tough for Nashville because you got a couple of UFAs that, there might have been an opportunity to at least do some sort of push with Philip Forsberg, but
Philip Forsberg. You had Nick Cousins. I mean, he's a depth piece. Matthew Benning as well, and then as far as UFAs that were, you didn't sell them at the trade deadline because they were your trade deadline deal by not selling them, essentially, right? So and no one expected. I know I didn't that Nashville would have this type of year. So it is a bit of a kick in the pants for that entire organization that Saros got injured.
Yeah, for sure. And then we have Pittsburgh and the Rangers. We had the triple overtime game, and then 5-2 yesterday. If they don't have Tristan Jarry, God love Louis Domingue, but it's going to be, and I love Sidney Crosby, but if you're not going to have the goaltending that's even close to the level of Shesterkin, it's hard to win.
Yep. I think that is the pivotal point in this series, is that DeSmith is down, and obviously Jarry is out with a fractured foot, and they said that he might be able to go basically next week. They just need to hang on and hope that they can outscore the Rangers, but with Shesterkin in that, it's gonna be that's a tall order.
Yeah. Yep. It is, and unfortunately, if Pittsburgh had Jarry, I would be more inclined to pick Pittsburgh in the series, because I do think, although Shesterkin is a better goalie than Jarry, I would give the talent overall to Pittsburgh, but without either of their top two, I just think it's too tough.
Talent and experience with Pittsburgh, and they've been there, they've done it multiple times, and I'm with you on that. And holy, with Malkin and Letang as UFAs this year, I don't know. Who knows if they're going to come back or not?
Yeah, that would be fascinating as well. Sean said future Canuck Evgeny Malkin in a chat.
Oh, man, that's a big eye roll. Maybe. Probably not. I don't think he's leaving the States.
No. And then the other one was Washington, Florida. Florida kind of reminds me of those old Washington Capital teams that couldn't get it done. They didn't have a good start in game one. They got a better start in game two. Washington needs goaltending. Like, just that simple.
Yeah.
Vanacek was brutal.
Yep. I don't know if Samsonov's going to be any better, though. And I think that's maybe the key cog for the Panthers, is just keep on throwing pucks at the net. And the amount of depth that they have within that lineup is absolutely insane. And the way that they set up their lines yesterday was Verhaeghe, Barkov, Duclair, Huberdeau, Bennett, and Reinhart. And then you have on your third line Marchman, who's played very well, Lundell, who's been a great rookie for them, and a great two-way center in this league. And he will be a very, very good two-way center throughout his entire career. And then you have Claude Giroux on your third line. Like that, talk about depth. That's unbelievable. So if I am your Jack Adams winner, if it was Kevin's way, Andrew Brunette, then you just keep on rolling those lines.
Yep.
And especially with not there's also another thing, is that Capitals didn't have Tom Wilson, and Tom Wilson is built for playoffs. Yeah,
that was a huge. Like, I'm not the biggest Tom Wilson fan, but he does bring a presence to that Washington lineup for sure. So.
Oh yeah.
Especially when you have a Radko Gudas on the Florida side. Tom Wilson. Yeah. Anything else we need to touch on?
I don't think so. Just looking forward to tonight's game with Tampa Bay and Toronto. That's definitely the game I'll be watching. And then just really hope that Mike Smith's over everything that Mike Smith does. And that is pooping and shitting everywhere and coughing pucks up the middle. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yes. And yeah. It's going to be an interesting night for sure. And then an interesting day tomorrow too. So we'll be back. We're scheduled to be back Sunday to recap Game 3, Flames and Stars. And but we're working out all the other schedules as well as the other stuff of when we'll have the Canucks on. We'll do another Canucks podcast as well. How do we follow you, Devin? We'll leave it here.
Follow me at Gordhouse09 on Twitter.
And of course, Sean Beardy, Canucks 03, Tyler TNOBLE, Christian Schneidz, SCHNEIDZ. I am KEVOLE. Shifts and Pucks on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. Thanks, everyone, for watching and listening, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.